All right. Dana, welcome to the Forget Perfect Leadership Interview Series. I am so excited to have you here. And for everyone listening, I have Dana Wilson on the interview today, and she is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Leader at a healthcare company and also in charge of the organization's network resource groups. So I'm so excited to have you here today. And Dana and I are friends. So I'm just grateful to be able to even spend this time with you personally.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here with you as well.
It's going to be good. All right. So, to kick us off, tell me a little bit about yourself and your leadership journey.
Sure. My journey has been an interesting one.
Let's hear it.
All right. So I have dedicated I've been a Humana for 26 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I can say that I've dedicated the last at least decade of that time fostering an inclusive environment within my organization through my engagement and connection with our network resource groups,
Yep.
also known as employee resource groups. We call ours NRGs because we're special. My role not only involves overseeing these groups, but also ensuring that they align with our company's strategic goals, thereby enhancing our employee satisfaction and business outcomes. I have been with Humana, it will be 26 years in, wow, a couple of days,
That's
February
awesome.
1st. I know, I can't believe it. And throughout majority of that time, I've been in compliance and risk management. So that's why I say my journey is a little interesting
Yeah.
because how did I end up in HR? Nobody knows. Not even me. No, I'm kidding.
I love it though.
And so, through my engagements and interactions and just standing up projects and, being more visible in our NRG space, I was afforded the opportunity to lead them. I was demonstrating my passion throughout the years
Mhm.
for our associates. And it's really important to me that everyone feels as if they belong and that they have a voice. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Well, and I work with a lot of organizations that have employee resource groups or network resource groups. And I feel like you all do it really well. And you are obviously in charge of the fact that it's doing really well. So what makes you so like what do you love about the NRG network?
Ooh, what I love about the NRG network is that I learn something every day. It's amazing because
I
like
know.
I've shared, I've been here, 26 years and a couple of days, and I learn something new every single day. I kid you not. Like the people that I have the opportunity to work with every day, they're so interesting, right? And I get really curious and I call it being nosy, and I'm just like, okay, I'm nosy, right? So now I have tons of questions because I just want to learn about you. And people appreciate that, right? I
They
think we
do.
all appreciate when someone asks us about ourselves because what better subject matter experts are we than about ourselves, right?
Right. Right.
I
Totally.
love it.
Love it too. All right. So what does leadership mean to you?
Who, that's really interesting. Because initially I didn't see myself as a leader. I've had numerous opportunities where I've led projects, initiatives, work groups, committees, all the things, but I didn't see myself as a leader because I did not have leader within my title. And I came across an incredible mentor. He's been my mentor for about 8 years now. He's probably like, girl, when is this going to be over? But I'm a
Yeah.
never ending journey.
Yeah.
But I've had an amazing mentor all this time, and he poured so much into me during our first couple of months of meeting and really helped me see myself as the leader that I have always been. And so, what I tell people all the time is that you do not have to have the word
Right.
leader as part of your title, right? Because influential leadership, let's be clear, is a little bit harder than
Yeah, it is.
the hierarchical version of leadership. So, to answer your question, leadership means the ability to inspire and to guide people toward a common goal. Where in my case, we are fostering trust, collaboration, and inclusion. And not only does leadership involve setting a vision, but also being adaptable, empathetic, and proactive in addressing challenges. So I shared with you, or I think you shared, that I lead our employee resource groups, our network resource groups. There are 10 of them. That's almost the equivalent of 10 different teams that I am
Right.
leading. with all these multiple personalities and needs and ways of working and operating and seeing things and doing things. And I had to humble myself and just lean in to meet them, every single one of them where they are. And I think
Yeah.
that's contributed a lot to my leadership style.
Yeah. And yeah, I feel like people don't talk about it enough. Like leadership is everyone's business,
Yep, it
right? I
is.
mean,
Yep.
we are influencing through our own leadership, even if we're an individual contributor, we are influencing every single day. So
Yep.
I'm glad you talked about that. So what core values guide you as a leader?
Ugh.
Ah,
I was thinking about this and I was like, what core values? So I would say integrity is so
yep,
important to me. Like, you have to be trustworthy. I have to be able to believe what you say, what you do, all the things. So integrity and empathy.
okay.
I shared with you pre-call that I lost both of my parents, and since that shift in my life, I've come across so many others that too have lost
Mhm.
both of their parents, right? Or at least a mom or a
Yeah,
dad. And I just have so much empathy now, honestly, than maybe I did before, because I've been there. I'm
yeah,
there with them, right? And so empathy is really important to me. And inclusivity. I don't know about you, but I've been in rooms a lot of times where I've looked around and it is just me.
yes,
I am the only one that looks the way that I do, and sitting in the body that I sit in today. So, inclusivity is very important to me. And I really try to bring everyone to the table, sometimes to my own detriment, honestly. I try to
yeah,
bring everyone to the table when, I'm trying to make decisions or standing up a new process or a program, because I only know about my experiences. And it's important to me that I
yeah,
hear about the experiences of others, especially if they're going to be impacted as well by whatever it is I'm doing.
yeah, totally. Um, so then on the flip side, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about leadership?
Is that you have to be that has to be in your title.
Right. Yep. It has to be in your title that you have to have direct reports that,
Yep.
yeah,
And it's some kind of authority over
yeah,
someone else, when no, in reality, leadership is more about influence and the
yeah,
ability to inspire and motivate people. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So you mentioned that you're managing 10, different teams essentially. And so that's a
Mhm.
lot, right? There's a lot of responsibility on you and a lot of different perspectives and points of view and life experience. So how do you manage stress and maintain your well-being as a leader? Uh,
Hilarious, because how do I?
yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned our friendship at the start of our interview today, because you helped me a great deal. I mean, just recognizing and then taking the steps to overcome my inner perfectionism has
Yes.
been a godsend. First of all, just recognizing like what that thing was, because I
Yep.
didn't know. I knew I had a need, a drive to just be perfect all the time and show up just the right way every single time. And it's very stressful.
Yes, it is.
And so knowing what that is, I can now combat it, right? I can take steps to um get in my head when I need to stop the noise, right? Or get in my head when I need to motivate myself.
Right.
And so how do I manage stress? I do that, right? Those practices. I have started journaling.
Good.
I've got a couple journals. I've got one in my desk and one upstairs in the bedroom, because you never know when the mood's
I
gonna
know.
strike you, right? You gotta write stuff down. And I also intentionally focus on taking time for myself. That could include a spa day. That could include a day by the pool in the summertime. That can include a movie by myself. I enjoy going to the movie theater. I enjoy it more, honestly, by myself,
Yes.
because I can see what I want. I don't
Hmm.
have to hear nobody talking. I can eat what I want without judgment. It's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I essentially do things that make me happy.
Yeah, I love that. Um, so, the world is moving, I feel like a million miles an hour. Like I feel like it is, and I don't think it's an age thing because I remember, I'm 42 and I remember when I was younger, I felt like older people always said, "Oh, time flies by, be present." But I feel like I'm hearing it from every generation, everyone is saying that the world is moving fast and faster. And so with this just constant evolution of the workplace and the needs of the workforce and companies, what do you think are some of the most critical skills right now for leaders?
Hands down, adaptability.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to shift with whatever demands are at the moment. I shared with you that I learned something new every day from
Yeah.
my NRG leaders, and that's the truth. I do, and sometimes those learnings results in me having to shift something that I was
Right.
working on in the back end that they didn't even know anything about. But now, because I have this new insight, right, or this new data set or data point within my data set, I'm able to pivot. I love technology. Now, am I a techie person? Absolutely not. But will I listen to someone who is a techie person and figure out how I can implement that in what I do? Absolutely, I do. So embrace new technologies. Embrace AI. We've got an AI, internal AI tool, and
Hmm.
I embrace it. Like I use it. Knowing that, at the end of the day, I am the subject matter expert in my area of
Yeah.
expertise. But if I can get, a head start on something or half the wheel built and I just build the other half of the wheel,
Right.
I am
Yeah.
absolutely going to do that. And I don't know, I just feel like I have seen growth in my leadership capabilities over the years because of um all the inputs that others have put into me, as well as trusting myself. I
Yeah.
trust myself a lot more than I did initially. I had a lot of the dreaded imposter syndrome that,
Yes.
which actually is not even a thing. It's just us, right? Getting in our own
Yeah.
way. And now that I've recognized that, I can quiet that like in a heartbeat. And I'm like, girl, you are here for a reason and you know what
Yes.
that reason is. So execute, right?
Yes.
Do
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
What are you
Yeah. I
waiting
love
on?
that. Yeah. It's the idea that, you wouldn't be given the opportunity to lead in that way if you weren't ready.
Right.
So
Yeah,
fear can
exactly.
coexist
Mm-hmm.
and with action
Yep.
and momentum. Yeah.
Without fear, there's no growth, right?
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
get through it to know you can do it. Hey, look at that slogan.
Yeah. Go
You're
girl.
welcome.
Yeah. I'm writing it down. Um, so one of the things too we've worked on, um, so you did my overcoming perfectionism program, and we've done some trust stuff with the NRGs. But I'd
Mhm.
love to just know, like, what have been some of your biggest takeaways from some of the things that and even just outside of work, talked about, right? Because we love it and we talk about it all the time.
Yep, absolutely. Trust and psychological safety
Yeah.
is been instrumental in fostering this inclusive environment and supportive environment that I am aiming to cultivate within my scope of work.
Yeah.
I've had to, not really had to, but I feel more comfortable being vulnerable, right, in front of these folks that I have the responsibility of
Right.
leading, and that vulnerability is returned in kind. Right. And it also demonstrates that I feel psychologically safe enough in this setting with this group of people to share whatever it is that I'm sharing that happens to be a vulnerability for me at that moment. I also remember us talking about how important it is to effectively communicate and be
Hmm.
inclusive with your communications, and set clear boundaries. And whatever that boundary is, like, don't deviate from it because it's there for a reason, right?
Right.
Whether it's to protect you or protect them, whatever it is, it exists for a reason. So hold fast, friends, hold fast. Let's see, what else have we talked about? We talked
Overcoming
about,
perfectionism.
yes, 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 yes. My favorite of all time. Look, woo, as a result of our time together wholeheartedly, I am better equipped with identifying and quieting the noise. I can see you doing this motion with my hand. I know
Yeah.
y'all listening
Turning
can't
the
see, but
volume down.
Tally does it all the time, like turn the volume down.
Yeah.
And I am able to do that now because of the practices that I've learned through our interactions. And also push against or discontinue the actions that drive me towards perfectionism.
No.
Awareness is key. And it's like a light bulb went off. Like once I saw your list of like
Yeah.
symptoms
Yes.
of
You
perfectionism,
were like, yes.
so seen because that was me. I was like, you're talking to me and all
Yeah.
these hundreds of other people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But so many of us struggle with, and we don't know, and we feel alone
Hmm.
in our perfectionism, or we feel that we don't have the words for it, or that we're dealing with all these separate things.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it can be really, really powerful.
Yeah, I just thought it was an inherited part of who I am as a
Yeah.
person. And I've always been that way. So I didn't see anything wrong with it, right? It was just like
Right.
standard operating procedure for who I am. But no, not only is it not that, but there's so many others that are also experiencing it.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Well, I love that you, like, one of the things I love about you is that you take the things you learn and you immediately put them into practice,
Mm-hmm.
right? You are, you said that one of your values is integrity. And I believe part of integrity is walking the talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you do that really well.
Thank you.
So when it comes to your role, and we just talked about psychological safety, how do you promote psychological safety? Like, what are some of the things
Mhm.
you use? When, like, you're bringing a bunch of people to the room, they may have biases about each other, or they may, you know what I'm saying, they may have never met each other. Like, how do you set up an environment for safety?
Yeah. And so the first thing I would say is that at the end of the day, we're all human,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day, at our core, we all want the same things. And so I work really hard at finding that commonality with someone and then building upon that. Whether it is life experiences, like I mentioned, we've both, well, I've lost my parents. I can easily connect with others who have
Right.
children of a certain age,
Yes.
children at a certain school or, level within school, right? Adult kids. How are you navigating that? Commonalities with pets. Some people are pet people. I am not,
Yeah.
but I know others who
Yeah.
are. So
Yeah.
tell me about your pet, right? Tell me why
Yeah.
I really should get this little snickerdoodle that you also have, right? So I
Yeah.
just really lean into finding that common thread that exists between us, and then I build upon that. And then
Yeah.
building upon that, you get to know someone more and more, and then the next thing you have cultivated a connection, a relationship with someone. And that to me promotes psych safety because I feel comfortable with you now
Right.
because we know a little bit more about each other. So I feel safer, right, than
Yeah.
maybe I did initially with having this conversation or bringing this vulnerability to you or sharing an opportunity that I've noticed that I want to bring to your attention.
Yeah, I love that. That embodies this new phrase that I've been teaching as a tool to build psychological safety, and it's connect before content.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep, yep.
Like,
I feel like I've used that
it's like
recently.
maybe it could have been our trust, like the trust and psychological safety piece, but it's like, but you embody that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you find a connection point, whether it's in a group setting or even one on one, but like connecting before we dive straight into content. Um,
Yes.
and I feel like that's, anyway, you do that well. And even just the thought process, again, like another, choosing curiosity over criticism,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
over, self and others. So
Yes.
you really embody the work of inclusivity. And I love that about you.
Oh, thank you.
You do. Um, so what's one piece of advice you would give to, like, future leaders?
Ooh, listen, 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 listen. Prioritize active listening. Take notes
Yes.
if you have to, and genuinely seek to understand the perspectives of others. I had a leader a while ago who taught me the art of listening and then recapping in your own words what you understood them to
Yeah.
say. And that not only fosters a greater understanding within you, right, in your own psyche, but it also demonstrates to them that you are interested enough to really digest what they're sharing, so much so that I can now regurgitate it back to you in my own
Right.
voice. Um, that's really, really impactful and a little challenging to do. I will say that.
I know.
There's so much noise around us all the time, right? And to actively have one-on-one conversations with someone, so much so that you can recap what they just shared with you, requires you to all of that other stuff, right? And
No.
so it's really important to do. And effective leadership is also rooted in empathy and the ability to connect with your team. No one is going to follow someone they don't like.
Right.
I mean, we're just not going to do it. People don't leave teams because of the work. People leave teams because of other people.
Right.
So don't be that person that is causing
I,
someone to leave your team.
I agree. And I love that you brought up active listening because it's something that people talk about all the time, or I either hear it a lot or I hear it not at all. But
Mhm.
like actually having tools to practice it for yourself, it's figuring out what is just like for me, it's about identifying like where are the moments throughout my week that I need to be present and active listening,
Mhm.
right? Because I'm not going to wholesale be an active listener. It's just not realistic, and my perfectionism will be
Right.
up. But it's like, what are the micro moments of presence? Like, is it a
Yeah.
one-on-one? Is it this call right now? Is it a team meeting? And then for me, that means that my phone literally needs to be with not in my arm's reach.
Hmm.
It needs to
Absolutely.
be
And
turned over.
silence.
Right.
Yep.
It needs to not be in arm's reach. I need to have any notifications turned off. Like I need to be present. But it is an active, like for me too, it's one of the things I'm working on in 2025.
Yep.
So again, this interview is going to appear in our February issue, which is really the theme of trust and psychological safety. So we're going to talk a lot about that in the newsletter and why it's so important. But is there anything else you'd love to add about the importance of trust in the workplace?
Once you have it, don't break it.
Right.
Um, because recapturing it is really, really difficult. And I've been on both sides of that coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've, had someone who trusted me and I broke their trust. I didn't, complete a commitment that I, wholeheartedly had every intention to complete, but just
Yeah.
didn't have the bandwidth to. And that happens, right? Sometimes. Um, Communicate, communicate, communicate. I am actually reading a book right now on communication and not being distractible.
Yes.
Indistractable is right here, but I also have a communication book that I'm reading. I can't find it right now by looking back on my bookcase, but it's very important that you effectively communicate um, what's going on. So for me, the example that I'm thinking of immediately is that I was tasked to do something. And when I said, yes, I can absolutely commit to doing that, I had bandwidth to do that, right?
Right.
But then all this other stuff
Yeah.
kept
Bandwidth changes.
coming in. Absolutely, right? And I could continue to say, yes, I can, because I thought I had time. I thought I had time. And as time got closer and closer to this deadline of meeting this person's expectations, I was not able to meet it. And I did not communicate that in advance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what happened is they reached out to me expecting this
Yeah.
deliverable, and I had to tell them I apologize, but I was not able to get that done. That broke trust, because what I could have done and absolutely should have done was let them know way in advance that, hey, it's
Yeah.
not looking like I'm going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but this is giving you enough time to pivot. And I didn't do that. And I lost trust, right?
Yeah.
They didn't trust me any longer. And on the flip side of that, by gaining trust is the opposite, right? Someone asks you to do something or gives you an opportunity to support whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's internal or external to your company. And not only do you show up, but you show up and you knock it out of the park.
I know. I know.
and, and they're going to come back, right? They're going to come back
Yeah.
again and again because they can trust you.
Right. And that doesn't mean you have to be the yes person. Like you're allowed
Right.
to say yes, and then bandwidth changes, and you're allowed to go
Yep.
back and say, I either need an extension on this, or I'm going to need you to give it to someone else.
Yep.
And I think that that's like that distinction between trustworthiness and trust. Like trustworthiness is my like personal accountability. Like who am
Mm-hmm.
I showing up to be trustworthy? And then it's like trust is what are the actions that we're all doing daily as a team to build trust with each other.
Right. Exactly.
So I love that. Okay. So you're reading that book. Is there the Indistractable? Is there any other book or resource that is greatly influencing you right now or has recently had a lot of impact on you?
A Year of Positive Thinking. This little book right here is Daily
Oh,
Inspiration, Wisdom, and Courage by Cindy Spiegel. Was gifted to me toward the end of the last year,
yeah.
for me to start off the new year with
Oh,
positive.
I love it.
So every day throughout, each month of the year, there's a little anecdote around positive energy, whether it is demonstrating kindness, believing in yourself, realizing that it does get better. If you're
Right.
having a bad day, it's okay to say no.
Yeah. Love it.
Words
Love
to
it.
live by, etc. So this little handy dandy little thingy bookie right here is on my desk every single day, and it's been great. I love it. It helps set that intention.
I love it. Dana, thank you so much for your time today. I'm excited for everyone to hear this interview. And I just appreciate you, all that you do, how you walk in integrity and empathy and live your values. And I'm just grateful to have you in my network.
Right back at you, friend. Thank you so much. This has been
Yeah.
great.